So some of the reasons people claim that I've seen people claim that Strange New Worlds isn't in the Prime universe include things like, hey, the ships are just too different. And that would be the Discovery and the Enterprise. Another one I've seen is that they don't think that Spock and T'Pring's relationship matches to Amok Time, but I think...
let's take these one at a time.
Yeah, okay.
So you said the first one was that the ships don't jive.
Yeah.
But basically, if you consider that Discovery, that was already like at least the feeling I get from Discovery was that with the spore drive and all that stuff, that was an experimental ship.
Yes.
It still kind of looked like a Constitution class. The general layout's the same. Obviously, it's not a Constitution class, but the general layout is like a Star Trek ship.
Yes.
It was super, super, super secret squirrel stuff, and that's why you didn't see any more about the spore drive. For one, because they had it on this ship, and then suddenly the ship didn't exist anymore in the timeline, at least not to the point to where Starfleet could have said, okay, this is working well, let's make more ships like this.
Right.
They disappeared at the end of season 2. So I don't really think that that's a good argument for at least Discovery being outside of the Prime timeline. That's a dumb reasoning.
No, I agree with you 100% there because, people took that first season. Now look, I get some of the arguments that people were making. Okay, so the spore drive, we've never heard of a spore drive before. Well, they cleared that up.
Yep.
And okay, holographic projectors, which actually they were supposed to have in the motion picture. They just didn't do it. But even that got cleared up by having Control take over everything and use the holographic imaging against everybody, and then Pike having it ripped out of the Enterprise. That takes care of that. But I can get some of that because you're like, okay, none of that technology was ever really used. Okay, that's all been kind of taken care of, though. So I would say you had a point until they took care of it.
I mean, plus, this is a seemingly experimental technology.
Mm-hmm.
Starfleet saw it work for, a year or two, and then the ship disappeared. They had no way of knowing whether the spore drive had anything to do with the disappearance or the destruction, however you want to say it, officially, unofficially, whatever.
Sure.
And in my mind, given what I know about current military stuff, that makes sense to me. Basically, they were like, hey, man, we don't know if the spore drive contributed to this, so we're just going to back away from it. We got warp capability. That's good enough. We're not going to continue to invest in this spore drive technology because at this point, we only have 2 years of data. It's not proven. So we're going to go ahead and scrap the program.
Yeah.
That's not out of the ordinary for me.
No, I was going to say, because now they have 2 ships, actually. You remember there was the Glenn that got stuck halfway in and out of the mycelial network.
Oh, yeah. So, of course, then the only other example they have of the spore drive failed.
Yes. So, I mean, that that looks like a good reason to take that one off the counter to me,
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that at all. Not even a little bit.
Yep. So that one gets done. I think one of the other reasons that people try to push that on Strange New World is they are so desperate for Discovery to not be Prime Universe that anything it even kind of rubbed elbows with, they want taken out,
No, and to be fair, I do understand the Strange New Worlds thing because, like we have talked over and over again, they skirt right up next to going outside of canon without crossing that line. They skirt right up next to it. But like I said in a previous episode, you and me have these conversations all the time, and they get cut out because at the end of it, I'm like, well, nah, they didn't violate any canon here, even though I super think they did. But when you really think about it, they have not.
No, because I've done that a few times where I'm like, that's wrong. And then I go look it up a little bit. And I'm like, okay, so we always assumed that this happened, but that's not what happened. Yeah. We just kind of guessed that this is what was going on.